It's Minister Adams. It's a prison story. Of course, all stories are not to go, but this one I want to ask two questions. I want to ask, and both questions have the same premise of parallel, kind of destinations, if you will. So I want to ask, can you find God in prison, and then can you carry that on to the outs, or and can you find God in prison and can you worship God in prison, and then carry that on to the outs? And another thing is, can you um can you do homosexual acts in prison and not be gay and then not carry that behavior into the out? Those are the two questions I want to ask. Can you serve God? Of course, you can find Christ in prison. That's the main religion I'm talking about. Can you find Christ in prison? And can you worship him while you're in there is the real question. Can you worship Christ in there? And how? And can you do homosexual acts and not be gay? And can you get out and still not do that or not have those feelings? So it's kind of opposite what I'm asking, but let's just let God lead on this one. Now first I'm gonna start off when I was 19 and how I learned these things. A lot of times I went, man, I was very young, but I was very perceptive. I was like that because even from when I was 14, I used to always ask myself, like, why did you do that? It wasn't until I was older where I read scripture and God would be like, David will ask God, search me in Psalm 51, search me to see if there is any unclean way within me. Lead me in the way of, like, search my heart. But God always allowed me to do that. Even if I did something bad to another kid in school, I'll be like, why you do that, bro? Like, why you, like, and whether or not I kept doing it, I just had to understand why I was doing it. And then I just grew with that same trait of always engaging with people with that, like, why they do that, like, why are they doing, whether I forgive them or not, I still want to understand why they doing it. And most of the times you walk around as a forgiving person because you're so trained to forgive, because you're so understanding that when you understand why a person does something, it's easier to forgive because you understand why they did it. um so I'm gonna go now. Let's go straight into the story. So I'm in there. I'm young. I think I went to Dickerson when I was 19, and I used to do something in there called boofing. A lot of people don't. Nowadays, it's not easy to do that. Usually, it'll have to be someone from the outside that'll boof something to you, and then go to the bathroom and shit it out, and then come to you and pass it to you in your mouth. Only other way you could boof nowadays is if they send you home on work release and you come back and you cheat and you boof it, then you shit it out in jail. I hate talking about that. This story almost controlled my career. I was a rapper. I was a battle rapper around a group of people that I let this story slip out, and they turned it against me, like, like on some gay shit. Like, that was so offensive to me, being that what I went through in there. But if you boofing in jail, nobody ever looked at you like that. Not even it never even entered our mind like he just boofs. We gonna If anything, we gonna the first thing gonna enter our mind is, oh, this nigga a hustler. That's just what it is. That's what we did, man. Especially when you go into the damn county, man, coming in and out the county. So if you coming in and out that month, if you coming in or out the county, you gotta bend over. They stand behind you. Gotta bend over, spread your ass, and you gotta cough. Word. So it was only one way for me to do it. So I did it. That's basically what I'm saying. Maybe I'll tell the story of how I did it with the glove. I'll never teach you how to do that crap. Cut the fingers out the glove thing. No, I'll never teach you how to do that. It's self-explanatory, if I guess. But it was terrible. But I'll tell you why I did it and why I didn't want to do it after a while, but why I kept doing it. So I had fears in there too. And a lot of people are able to block out their fears and just do something monstrous and do something against their morals. You do it one or twice, and you kind of become that. Jail is a very spiritual, demonic place, and if you step in any water thinking you're just gonna get your feet wet, it's gonna be up to your neck. You do one thing thinking I'm just gonna do this once, them spirits gonna take you over. It's not gonna be that easy. You go thinking I'm gonna sleep with this man one time and just see how it is. Nah, all right, but I'm not gonna jump ahead of the story. Right now I'm on the part is, can you find Christ in jail? So only reason I'm telling this story is to tell you how my second bit. Oh, no, this is this bit. My second bit is the one where I talk about this same guy. He's in my second bit, and he's the one that was we'll talk about it. So in this one, um it's the same group. He was with the same group of people. He's not the one that I got angry with in this one. but he's with the same group of people. So I used to bring it back and forth. They'll send me to Wayne County Jail. I worked in the laundry. There was a guy named Mr. Leroy, gray hair, big glasses. I think he was real light skinned. I think back I don't know. I used to call him white boy, but he used to smoke with us on the outs. We used to have a spot on Wisconsin on the outs. Me and E. It was I ain't gonna say that yet. Maybe I'll say that later. So he came in, and I guess the guy that I worked in the laundry with was older, and I guess he already knew. And me and him talked, and he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna give you something to take back over there, cause man, niggas would ask me. I would never tell you my bid. I learned that a long time. I learned that in there. If you got a hot dog bid, and I go to county and I tell him like I only got a year and a half, he ain't gonna do shit for me. He gonna oh, man, do your little hot dog bid. But I had him thinking I was going upstate. He'll be like, man, how much time you got? What you in here for? I'll be like, man, they got me on conspiracy and with intent to deliver. How much time you got? Like, I don't know yet. So he think I'm fighting. He think I'm fight. I ain't say I'm fighting it, but I'll be like, I don't know yet. And nigga ain't ask too much questions. He'll ask questions, but I always cut him off. Like, how is it upstate? I always ask him questions about upstate. In my mind, I'm like, before he keep asking me too many questions, I'm just gonna make him think he's peeping me. So I'm just gonna make him think like, oh, this nigga going upstate. He just scared. He don't want to tell me. I wasn't though, but I just didn't want him to know. And it worked out because he was like, yo, let me teach you how you can control people. He said you can control the biggest body if you got something that body wants. He said you can control you can control any flesh but you got to have something that flesh wants. If not, the only interaction that flesh is gonna have with you is contingent upon what it can take from you. The only interaction a nigga in jail is gonna have with you, bro, is how beneficial are you to them. So before you even put yourself in that pocket, you come in there with the thing like I have a need that demands a demand. So the question then becomes, how beneficial are you to me? How able are you to meet this supply or to meet this demand? Like, what do you have now? So he basically was like, take these drugs back to your county and you're gonna see. But I didn't know. I was talking very codish to him to where no, he was like, take these drugs back to that county, because I was in William Dickinson County. He's like, you're gonna learn, and he was right. Everybody walked around eggshells. Nope, I never had to. It was like day camp, just because I had cigarettes and weed. But just because I brought coke, maybe like once every 2 weeks, the guy would bring us the Buellers. First, sometimes he'll bring us. Most of the time he'll bring us Marlboro. He'll give us a pack of peas, and I'll just take the Marlboros and I'll just cheat the Marlboro. And sometimes I'll cheat the Marlboros and I'll do it to where they call me, and I had a way to where, because I was coming out the county, they wasn't that tight, because I'll go in and I'll do that, but I didn't have nothing. But then when I come out from laundry, I'm going back to another jail. When I'm going in, they search me hard, but when I'm coming out, it wasn't that tough. Some guards would search me really hard. So if I had cigarettes, they found them before. They'll be like, I'll be like, I found it. That's when after a while, I had to start mixing everything. Like, I ain't just cheeking no cigarettes, so I mixed everything together. But I would boof everything together. But for a while, I would just cheek the cigarettes, and sometimes they wouldn't search me, and I'll take the cigarettes back. But then they found them a couple times. I was like, I found it in there. I was like, I can't keep saying that. I'm gonna blow their spot up. So because the second time they found it, I told the guy. I ain't tell him they found it before, and he was like, you can't. He was like, you gotta cheek everything, or I ain't giving you shit. That you gonna mess it up for me. That's how he was living. He was big time. He was older. He been there for about 3 years in the county for 3 years about. I'll tell later how you could do that in Detroit. I tell on my stories why the county is like prison, because niggas be there for you could be in the county for like 6 years. So the atmosphere is prisonish. So but sometimes he would give me the coke, and I would have to mix the coke with the cigarette, and I would have to cheat the weed by itself, because one time I did it in a way to where I cheat the weed, the coke, and the cigarettes, and the weed broke the thing. The weed will break it, so I couldn't have the coke in me, so I would just do the weed. I didn't want the nicotine. The nicotine made me just as sick, so I didn't want the coke in me. So I would do that, and I would do that in the nicotine by itself, to where I couldn't even, when I get back to Dickinson, I couldn't even smoke it. And he rarely brought us weed, because he didn't smoke weed. He rarely brought us weed. He smoked coke and cigarettes, the guy that ran the laundry. So I can only if I didn't bring weed back, all I had to smoke was. But I started making banana peels like this old because I was giving somebody my stuff and niggas knew like he don't smoke. One old nigga was like, you don't smoke, like bro. If I smoke that, even though because sometimes it'll be cigarettes without the crack. I'll tell them like bro that shit got a little. That shit got a little odor on it. Like that's like a 51. That's what we call when you mix weed and cigarettes in Detroit. In jail, we called it a 51. Like that's like a 51. Like what you mean? I'll tell them like that's how I got it. I won't tell them, but I'll just be like it was mixed with that. And but sometimes it'll I couldn't unmix it, you know, and I'll have to tell them like 51s and man, a little maybe like a. I think the first time I brought about a half of a track back, I think my commissary tilted at $1,000. Packs of cigarettes, I would if I wanted to, I can get $300. I could have got if I knew better. I could have. He was teaching me how to save. He was teaching me how to save money before I went to prison. That's what he was doing, and he was teaching me how to understand human behavior and how important it was to have control. Even if you got to press somebody from the house and beg them, like he said, that's why niggas from the house take that chance because it's that important for them niggas. They don't want. They got life. They don't really care about money. They want the drugs because they want the control. Most niggas in prison. So I take the coke back, man. I take the coke back. I'm taking everything back to Dickerson. Now I don't know if I told y'all this before, but Dickerson Rock was set up like there'll be. I don't remember how many cells it was, but it was. I know there was a guard booth right here. There was one. Of course, there's four corners to the rock, but the guard booth couldn't see the back corners right away, and there was a blind spot in one corner because there was a camera where this corner went into the chow and everything. So in this corner is where they let niggas release themselves. I didn't even know that. If you was in prison, if you didn't peep that, you can peep that. Like I guess if they don't provide some type of way, some type of outlet for them monsters, and for let me say us monsters, because I don't want to judge nobody, to get their passions off, niggas in there with psychopathic natures, bro. If you don't let them release themselves, they'll turn on the guards. They'll get you. Keep them on lockdown too long, they'll tear every cell up in that motherfucker. You'll have to let them out. If you don't let them release themselves, they'll turn on the prison. So they always got a spot where you can go fuck, get high, fight, especially fight and fuck. You can get high anywhere, but they always got a spot where you can go fight and fuck somebody, bro. God forbid, wicked shit. I even stopped that because niggas started getting high so damn much. But this nigga was like that too, man. I just didn't know at that time. Then I saw him when he was on the outs, and he was still like that, cause he like I go to the cell where they fight and fuck. Now I'll get high and fuck. They'll just fight in that corner. They fought in that cell, but you didn't go there when they fought. But I'll go there when they got high. I didn't go there when they fucked either, Jesus. But I would go there when they got high. Sometimes I would, because I would have to. I would go there and divide the stuff up. Everybody would go to their rocket. Sometimes I'll be like, I'm gonna pick my stuff up from 3 points. I'll go there, give them the stuff, then I'll go here, and whoever owed me something, forgot this guy's name. Whoever owed me something will have to give it to him. So when I'm on my way back, I can pick it up, and then I can walk. The guards won't see me pick it up because those two cells were empty. They got high in this one, and I think this one was a store. And like I'll be like, yo, such and such. He'd be like, they already know. Like I got you, bro. Boom. Then I'll take it, and it was like I brought something from the store, but I'll be getting the stuff. And they let us like boom, whatever. You know that nigga got the commissary. They let you do certain stuff to survive. So I would sell them they stuff. Everybody. It wasn't just me. You know, it was niggas in there that I was cool. It was niggas in there that at this time I was able to do that because no one had the coke. It was niggas in there with weed. It was cigarettes everywhere, Buellers everywhere. But there was no. They'll be staring at me like they'll be watching my hands when I'm going to my stuff. They'll be watching. I'll be like, look at this nigga looking at my hands, bro, waiting for me to pull that shit out. And I rarely had it because he rarely brought us. He brought that like once every 2 weeks. So this is how I found Christ. At this part of the story, I like to foreshadow my stories. At this part of the story is how I found Christ, because at this time I was Muslim, and there was a little guy named Mel that sometimes once I stayed there for a while, once I trusted him, I would be like, Mel, take them this and bring me the stuff back, and I'll just stay in my cell. I would only come out to eat, go to rec, exercise. I wouldn't even really come out to exercise. The way I exercise, I could stay in my cell. I stayed in my cell and I wrote music. I wrote raps. Stayed in my cell. I read the Bible. I would go back and forth from Christianity to Muslim. So I had a Bible and a Quran. I was reading the Quran, reading the Bible. I think at this time I was reading the Quran more, but they were the same to me. I just didn't know Jesus. But my grandmother was Christian. My father was Muslim. So I'd be telling boy, and so I had a small Bible in my room, a small orange one, a Gideon Bible. And I used to be talking to him like, man, this Christ thing, bro. And you got time to talk. Whenever we had time to talk, I'd be like, I'll always talk. I used to always teach him the Quran and read the Quran, and we'll read the Quran because he wasn't into no religion. Now I remember always telling. I remember the last story I told him before I started really reading the Bible. I be like, I was telling him how things are so how wicked things are so fragile. Like, man, look how these niggas going crazy over this shit. I had sometimes I'll pull out the coke because I'll have the coke twisted. I wouldn't bring it out that much. Even if I had it, I wouldn't bring it out. Like these niggas get used to me having this shit, boy. They'll kill me, and if I don't give it to them. That's why I couldn't stop doing it. Um, so I was telling him like, man, niggas going crazy over this little. You know how fragile this is. Like you can blow this. No, I remember one time I had some baby powder. That's what happened. Because I had baby powder tied up sometimes, and if you was a punk or I didn't like you, I'll have baby powder tied up in a little bitty thing that you could barely see, and I'll give it to you for real like that. But and I'll give you baby powder. Then I'll pay somebody to get you off the rock. God forgive me, manipulative as fuck. But I'll give you baby powder if you did something, or if you owe me some money or something, and I'll make you owe somebody else. I'll be like, bro, I'm gonna look out for you, whatever, and I'll punk you, and I'll see how tough he is. I was that wicked when I was young. I was that smart though. Like I'll punk you up by giving you the baby powder, and I'll see how tough he is because you thought it was crack. But I'm telling you, like, man, whatever you owe me, give it to him. He needs some help, and you gotta have it to him by such and such. And he'll be like, you owe me, right? He'll be like, I got you, bro. And he'll be like, he gave me 2 cracks, sniffed that baby powder. If he, sometimes he ain't know. One time he didn't even know. I gave him 2 and 1. And he ain't even noticed it. I guess I don't know, that nigga did all them shits at one time. I don't know what, he just ain't say nothing to me because he paid the guy. But I was doing sneaky stuff like that. But I just say that to say, once with this nigga, I was playing with him and I had baby powder. But I was teaching him the Quran too. I wasn't teaching, but I was sharing it. I was learning it. And I was like, there's scripture in the Quran where Muhammad was in the cave and they was looking for him. And the spider came and the spider wove a thing over the cave, and the man walked by, and they didn't see him. And I remember another one where it says, no, I was talking to him. That's another story. I used to talk to him about the Quran. I used to read the Quran and the Bible back and forth. There was another Quran passage where it was another setup where it was like the riches of this world are like a spider web. It's the most precious fabric, like silk, but it can be wiped down with the man's hand. And I was like, that nigga. So basically I was getting more religious as I was doing that, and God was calling me in jail. He was dealing with me in jail. He was saving me in jail, but I didn't know how to serve him. I wasn't able to serve him, but I did find him as Allah, because I think Allah in Christianity, I don't think Allah is Elohim, Yahweh, God, but I think it's the same creator, and I think it's the Father. When I was Muslim, God was protecting me. I didn't change gods. He just introduced. He was like, "Yo, this is my real name. This is my son. Like you got to come through me, through Jesus." I didn't change gods. God was just like, I'm not saying he's the God of the Quran, but he's like, I'm God. I'm the creator. I can find you there, and I can introduce you to my son. So he was starting to introduce me to Christ. I was just starting to have a hunger for Christ. I was starting to have dreams. I'll tell the dream one time. I had a dream about Christ when I was like, and I had my Bible too, but I always read the Old Testament. So I started reading the New Testament, Paul's letters, and I was starting to develop the deep love for the Bible. Deep. I don't know why I'm just gonna tell a story. I'm gonna let God lead. Why I'm telling a story like this, but this is how I really fell in love with. All right. So before I go into this part, if I got into it with you, like I remember I got into a fight with this nigga, bro. I lost the fight bad because they broke it up. But the nigga just can't. Man. Sometimes you can be getting to it with a nigga. He just come at you like what? And you just be like yo, and then it take for him to fuck damn near kill you before you just be like before you go into survival mode. I had to learn man, I don't know. I just wasn't like that. I ain't have that nature. I ain't have that anger, that temper in me like that. But sometimes I learned in there, like if a nigga, I'll go to my cell and I have to make myself hate you before I come out. I'll have to get into that scary place where I just come out and only see red before I even engage with you. Because I learned, like, I'll fight niggas for a little while, then I'll see red and I'll be like, I'll just go crazy and I'll see you on the floor. I'll talk to niggas later. I'll be like, I went wild. They were like, nah, you was fucking that nigga up. Like, them shits was, but they'll be fast, like, bam, bam, just from everywhere, right, left. Like, because I boxed all my life. But when I snap, that shit is like muscle memory. I'll be just, boom. It ain't like no, nah, that shit be like, bam, 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 bam. Just comboing you from my muscle memory. Like I played chess. Used to fuck, but I had to go red to see that. So I go downstairs. This how I found crying. This pissed me off. This shit pissed me off today. One thing that pissed me off is that I know that dumbass nigga was smoking it. So that shit, he was cool, bro. I was in there for 2 years. He was cool, but once once the niggas started, cause they used to sniff the coke. Once I smelt it, I'm like, oh, I smell that coke. You can smell that shit everywhere. I'm like, they're gonna get me in big trouble, bro. So that's when I used to say I used to hide in my room and not even give it to them. Like these niggas starting to smoke it. So one day I smelt it from my cell. Go downstairs. Them niggas in the fucking cell. You know I love God, boy. I could tell you some gruesome stories. I could tell you some gruesome stories, boy, and I won't cry for shit. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. I've been beat up bad, nigga. So I couldn't even see. I don't give a fuck. Don't glorify God. Don't make me mad. Don't give me PTSD. But this shit pissed me off. So I go downstairs. I'm like, these niggas smoking my shit. So you gotta mind you, I'm already in a mind state to where I feel like a king a little bit, like a young prince. There was niggas over me, like the nigga that ran the store protecting me. There was kings in there that allowed me to do that because I was the only one doing it. That was back in the early 90s. People they was just getting introduced to coke. It was only a few people that even, I'm sure they was trying it, but they was sniffing it. The niggas started smoking it. So I go down there, bro. And these niggas got the Bible with pages. Now, I didn't finish the story. This why it pissed me off. So before I go down there, I'm in the room with the little nigga. He talking to me in my room. I'm thinking I'm teaching this nigga. I'm like, but this ain't when so now I'm not teaching the Quran at this point. I'm teaching him the Bible. I'm about to come home. I don't know if I was about to come home, but I'm teaching him the Bible. I'm telling him like, bro, I'm starting to love this Christ, this Jesus, bro. You know, this my boy. I'm like, bro, I'm starting to love Jesus, man. Like, I think I'm gonna get I wasn't like, I'm gonna stop this, because I didn't know how to serve him. I was still doing what I was doing, but I'm like, I love him. I wasn't saying that to him, but I'm thinking to myself, like, I love God's son. I think one time I asked God when I was in there, when I was reading the Quran, because I had a dream about Christ, and I was like, if you want me to serve your son, then teach me how to love him. And he showed me. And he'll teach you how to love him by convicting you of your sins. But at this time, I didn't know how to serve him. That's why I started this off like, can you find Christ in jail? Can you serve him? The second bit, I learned how to serve him. The first one, I didn't. This one, I didn't. But I'm telling this guy, he like, oh, I want to know him. He in my cell. He like, can I had 2 Bibles. I had the Quran. I had my big Bible. I gave him, I don't know if he asked for it or not, but I'm like, bro, read. No, he asked for it. I knew he wanted it. I'm like, bro, but I'm like, let me tell you about it. I'm like, all right, go ahead and read this, bro. Gave him the small Bible. He like, oh, good looking, man. Good looking, young blood. He go downstairs. I start smelling that shit. I go downstairs. Them niggas got my Bible open with the pages ripped out. Rolling cigarettes, rolling crack in my shit. I was like, okay. I walked out. I started pacing. That's when God saved me. That's the only thing that'll make me cry on these stories, nigga. That's the moment God saved me. That's when he told me how to love Jesus. I was like, these motherfuckers smoking out the Bible, bro. I was like, God, they smoking out my Bible. It was my Bible. That nigga don't know. That's my first Bible. That book was important in hell to me. They smoking. So I walked around. Man, I walked up in that cell. Because when I walked in the cell, they had a fan. They was blowing the smoke. I'm like, ain't no fan in this motherfucker blowing but me. And I went crazy, man. Them niggas, they had to restrain me. I remember they was talking about tie him up, but I went in there red. I walked around. I ain't going there. First, I was just going to go in there. I did go in there. I went in there to attack him, but he went behind other people, and anybody that grabbed me, I just went crazy on everybody. That's when I learned how you could bite people and stuff. I went crazy. I went crazy, 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 crazy. Only person that ever saw me go crazy like that on the house was like my little brother. I remember I went crazy like that on the cops before, just crazy, 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 crazy. But so that's when I found him. That's when God. I Now I'm not saying anything we can do in life is worth God's mercy. He'll have mercy on who He wills. But I think that's when God saw like, yeah, you do love me. I just taught you how to love my son right there, didn't I? They tearing my word up, and I didn't understand it till I was older. Like his son is his word. Stop being a bitch, George. I might have to pause this. So yeah, man. So that's what God said to me. He said, I mean, He showed me that later. He said, you asked me to show you how to love my son. You gave him that stuff. They went down there. You go down there, you see them smoking my word, and you went crazy. Like, do you know my son? I learned later when I started reading the Bible more. I'm like, oh, his son is his word. Like and then I thought back. I'm like, oh, he taught me how to love him. That's how I found him. That's how I found God in jail. But I wasn't able to serve him that time. I wasn't able to serve him until I went to the second, because after I got out, I was out for about maybe 19, 20, 21. I was out for about 3 years, 4 years. But I was studying the Bible as I was out to when I went back in from 23 to 25. I was By then I was able to teach it. That's why if you look at my other stories, you'll see I control people with drugs, and then I control people with wisdom. But with the wisdom, it wasn't a control I didn't control people to take advantage. I just did it to survive. Just if you in jail, whatever skill you got, bro, you gotta. If you got any skill, man, before you do anything, man, make your muscles strong, but make your skills strong too, and then use that skill to survive. Especially if you got a long time. But most of all, don't go. But I'm gonna go into the second story. I would make this just one. I should just make this just one interview. Like, can you find God in jail? But I wanted to tie the stories together. I see how God is leading me to tell this story. But now another part of this is that oh, okay, so I walked when I went down there, they were smoking. I didn't even say. I was shocked. I'm like, because I grew up with the Bible. I grew up with the Bible. My grandmother was Christian. I grew up in the church. I sang in the choir. Like, they smoking my stuff out the Bible. He's smoking my stuff out the Bible I just gave him. That's the first Bible I got when I was in here, dog. I think I snatched the Bible. Like, I think I said something like, bro, that's my Bible, dog. And I took the Bible, and everybody he looked at me in shock. Everybody looked at him in shock. And I walked out, I walked and I paced. I was like, that nigga just smoked out my Bible. And I was making, because I knew I'm about to fight this nigga, but I'm about to go into a rage. I went into a rage. I went back in that cell, and I rushed at the nigga, and the nigga hid behind people. There was people around. It looked like they was giving each other blowjob. They was doing gay shit, getting high. Because I guess they thought I left, and they started back doing that gay shit, and they didn't know. I guess somebody told them, like, here he come, or somebody coming, and they stopped. When I got there, but they still had the smoking out, and I was like, that's my Bible, dog. I saw the Bible ripped open with all the paper. But when I left, I paced, I walked. No, I took about 10 steps, and I thought, like, motherfucker, and I just turned around and rushed back in there, and they started back the gay shit. And then after time, that's when I kept him away from me. I was like, and he got turned out in there. So that's why I asked that question: can you get turned out in jail? And he'll tell me, like, I'm not like that. He tried to get cool with me, and after sometimes I'll talk to him during chow or something. I won't sit when that's when the OG. That's when my OG told me, like, man, you got to kick him. The guy that ran the store told me, man, you got to kick him to the curb. Even the guy from the other jail, both of them, people was confirming it, like, you got to stay away from him. Like, he's like that. Everybody in that, you got to just go in there and don't even go in there and smoke with them no more. That's why I just smoked in my cell now. I only smoke banana pills anyway. Y'all smoked that after, but the second time I went, I only smoked in my cell. I never smoked with other people, even if I was able to get it from somebody. But he was like, but he told me with them in this place, he was like, bro, do not hang around that dude if he's gay on the low like that. Because if you gay on the low and you go to prison gay on the low, it's gonna operate. It's gonna, you think it's on the low, but yeah, that's just gonna attract more demons, bro. That's just gonna attract more. That's just gonna turn niggas on more. Like, you playing hard to get. That's how they gonna look at it. He was like, if you associating with him, they're gonna look at you like you playing hard to get to. Like if he on the low and you with him, they're gonna think you on the low. If you don't, if so, you better chill. I was like, all right. So I wouldn't let him, but I would talk to him. My point is that he claimed like I'm not like that. I'm not really like that, man. I just got high. That stuff we got high and we just had the pattern. We just let loose. So I felt guilty as hell. Like they smoking off my Bible, they smoking coke, and they in there fucking each other. That shit made me feel guilty. To this day, it's stuff like that to where I haven't sold coke and I haven't sold drugs in 25 years. I haven't been to jail in no, I 21 years. I haven't been to jail in 21 years. Because I stopped selling that stuff when I was 30. I'm 51. I'll be 52. Um, so he got turned out in jail. But when I got out, I was okay. So I went broke at a point in time. Even though my niggas was getting money, if I went broke, niggas would tell you like I'll go sit for Ralph. And Ralph would tell us. So this nigga he thought he was the shit. It was the same nigga Melvin. Now they called him Melvin on the outs. We called him inside. They called him Melvin. This nigga would bring me the shit. And he would, and we'll chop it up about the jail stories, but I never told Ralph. I never told him. I'm thinking like, well, maybe he was right. Maybe he really wasn't like that. He was, and I never brought it up. But he would, Ralph would tell. He'll play. I'll be like, Ralph, let that nigga know. Like he'll play me like a funky, but I didn't tell him about none of my business because I was in the cracks. I never told people about like Ernie, Jono, the people at home because them niggas were. It looks stupid for me to how I look tell niggas like, yo, my best friend got a half meal. Like, why the fuck you in the crack house? Cause they used to play me like a flunky. So I never asked them for shit. If I went broke, I'll start over from zero. I'll go to a crack house, buy a half track, buy an ounce, buy a half ounce, buy an ounce, try to get up to a quarter key, try to get to the half key if I don't fall off. So I would see this nigga on the ounce, bro. But when I was talking to this nigga, he would be talking, but I could tell. He would be talking, I'd be like, man, and he was a barber. And he was still kind of, I was like, I'm like, but I didn't know it until I think the second time. The second time I went back, I wasn't on the rock with him, but he was in there the second time, and I saw him in the building, and I asked, and people told me like, yeah, he's turned out. He's turned out. So he kept it on the low when he was a kid, and when you keep stuff that on the, I'll tell. That ain't got nothing. It's all spiritual. I'll explain that to you. And he was like that. I talked to him once in the prison when I found out before I left. Wayne County is a jail, not a prison. But I did talk to him once, and he said something to me that I just saw it when I got older. I just put it together. But he was like that when he was bringing me the stuff. I'll tell Ralph like, man, like what's up with your boy? I'm like you don't think he kind of, because I didn't tell Ralph I knew him from jail because but no, me and Ralph and him rarely saw each other together. That's the only reason why. And I didn't want to get drunk and tell Ralph that the nigga was gay because I was a little intimidated by the nigga when we was on the outs. Because on the outs, I'm sitting for him. He got more money than me. I'm like, wow, this nigga got his money up. He was that kind of barber and that kind of soft nigga that I guess the nigga would keep working for him. Like I'll have some big niggas kept niggas like that working for them because they knew like, you just had somebody that you could trust. The nigga was still gay, bro. He was still gay. You could tell, you could see it, but he was a killer type nigga. Kept his gun and shit. He brought me the drug. He brought me the gun when I was sitting in there the hole. So just off rip, there was a little, but I was like, yeah, he's still gay. I didn't realize until I was older that So then I go to, well, I'll say this first. I didn't realize until I got real into Christianity and God really started like using me in ministry and using me to minister because I've ministered to plenty guys in that lifestyle and brought some to Christ, some I knew when to cut off. But with him, what was I about to say about that? I knew he was like that, bro. But I understood when I got older that it's a spirit. It's a spirit transfer when you do that. Just like it's a spirit in Christianity. That's why I did this like this. So in Christianity, you receiving this Holy Spirit. When I accepted Christ, I received the Holy Spirit. And that's what I was able to take back out into the world. I received the Holy Spirit in there when I went nuts. God, that was the Holy Spirit coming over me. God said Christ, when I didn't realize till I read the Bible later. Like Christ went to the temple and tore the temple up. I went there and tore that. I think I tore the whole cell up, biting motherfuckers, everything, bro. I was going trying to bite people. They had to hold me. Like, yo, they never hit me one time. In this incident, like I used to flip out like that a lot, and you didn't have no choice but to try to knock me out. Um, but the Bible says Christ went to the temple and turned over all the money tables. So I know that it's a spirit. So I take the Holy. But when you do a homosexual act in jail, man, it ain't no. I'm just gonna do this one time and not do it when I. No, man, that's a spirit transfer too, and you take that spirit back into the world. You don't just get out like I did that in there, and I'm gonna go out here. No, most niggas be out here dealing with demons. Like, yo, how can this shit be? How can this shit still be fucking with me? Like I ain't even want to do it, and I'm out here. And that's what I learned about the nigga. When the nigga was bringing me the stuff, he was a smoker too. He used to sit at the table with them. Like I don't know. I wasn't sitting for. I think I was sitting for a nigga named Sean House. Maybe I shouldn't have said that name. Ain't no murder shit though. I think I was sitting for Sean. And this nigga would come in there and he would sit at the table with the smokers. I could. That's how I would listen to them. I could tell. Well, we talked to them different. That's when I was like, he's still gay. Talked to me on some gangster shit. He intimidated me a little, but after a while, I was like, yeah, he's still gay. But it's a spirit transfer, bro. And you can't do that. You can't just like you can't love God. You can't really taste the love of God and turn from it because it's too beautiful. You're gonna hunger and you're gonna thirst after it. And you can't do that homosexual act and be like, I'm just gonna be a regular person. No, you're gonna lust after you're gonna lust after men in the way you're not gonna understand, and it's gonna drive you crazy when you're on the outs. Facts. Sorry about crying. I might edit that. I ain't gonna edit it. I used to be in jail. I ain't cry over shit unless I was on at night by myself crying to God. That's the only thing that can make me cry when I'm talking about God. And I didn't, man, shit. I don't cry about nothing, but when I talk about God, I'll cry about a baby. I'll cry like a baby. Okay, so now let's talk about, well, that's it. I think I tied them both together. I tied them both together. But the only reason I say that, I saw this guy back in jail again. That's ended with this. And I saw him. And every time I see him, I'll be like, yo, I'll be like, man, and he'll go to, I'll be going to the yard or something, and I'll see him going to medical or something. I'll be like, man, he'll be like, avoiding me like a motherfucker. So I asked, they're like, man, that nigga turned out on this, like he turned out where they at. Like he wanted to turn out one because the county wasn't like prison to where we got like shit on the 60-man rock. You might have like two or three that's like that's you might have like a bunch that are sissies, then you got a few that are just turned out. That the sissies turn out. The sissies, and you'll get turned out. In the county, they turn. I'll tell you that before I go. The sissies were tough. You hear man. You know what's funny about jail stories, and when you know they genuine, a lot of us say the same shit, bro. It's the same shit. Just different people, different stories. Ain't that some bullshit? I said that before about the spirit. Just look at the way I share my stories. It's kind of a teaching format too, just to show that the spirit world is real. So this nigga avoided me, bro. So the nigga tell me like he turned out on his rock. So I know on my rock, what they'll do is this how they got the sissies. Cause I was in there for 2 years. I saw it overlap to it'll get down to about 3 sissies. They'll be like, we gotta build this 60 unit up to about 10 sissies. And niggas will be fighting over the sissies. So what they would do is they would have the sissies find out who was weak. They'll watch you coming in. And the county at the time I was in there, they'll sick the sissies on you, bro. The sissies were strong. The sissies could fight. Sissies on the outs. You wonder why you ever fight an older fag? They'll whip your ass, boy. I don't even fight them. You got to make up a dispute. I remember I almost got into a fight with one. I ain't fighting them because something happened. I was about to fight the nigga. Oh, I ain't even tell you when I kicked the nigga down the steps because he tried to run behind me when I found him with the rice papers and he tried to run behind me, kicked him down the steps. He was bloody. But sometimes you'll see you'll fight somebody that'll already be. I fought somebody that was already cut up almost one time, but I'm like, I ain't fighting this sissy. But he wanted to see if I was tough, and I still bullied them up. But I guess I don't know. I don't know. No, that was just almost a fight. Cause I about to say I don't know if the old nigga sent that motherfucker after me, but it wasn't like that. But I watched them, and what they would do is they'll send a sissy. If they see you coming in, if they see you coming in, they'll just smell it. They knew. Most of the time it'll be the niggas that acted too tough or the niggas that acted too soft. It's a balance that you can't find. It just gotta be there. They would sick the sissies on them, like, man. And if the sissy talk to you and they notice that you like them, then they'll put the clamp down on you. And they'll make you they bitch. They'll make you they sissy. And then they'll turn you out. And it's like mind control. Same thing happens on the out. They'll groom you, they'll turn you out, and then they'll pass you over to the elites. Just like mind control, you know. They'll have the smaller handlers turn these stars out. Puff Daddy turning out the Justin Biebers, the then they turn them out enough, then they hand them over to the big satanic rituals. So they're ready for the big satanic ritual. So they'll get the sissies to turn you out, then they'll turn you over to the booty bandits, the niggas that's really hiding it. The niggas, the real niggas, the real killers that might not even be on that rock. They'll do it to where they'll put you on another rock. That's what happened to him. They'll turn you out on one rock and they'll send you to a killer on another rock. That's been in the county for about 3 or 4 years. That got about 2 more to go. Like, I'm a rat that'll make you his bitch for your 2 years while he got 2. And that's why the county was dangerous, man, because you can have cases, and I think they just wanted to keep bodies there. Like, I had a gun in the dope case. They gave me a 3 to 5 and on each one, and they ran it concurrent. I mean, they ran it consecutive to where after I finished one, I had to do the other. But they only held me accountable for one at a time, which means I had to do this bit, and then after that bit, the next bit was next. But neither bit sent me upstate. Each bit was broke down to a year and a half, then a year and a half, till I did about 2.5, 3. The county got it in the way to where they don't send you upstate. Now it's to the point to where you can get like a 5 to 10, and they'll set your charges up to where you do 3 here, you do 6 years and never leave the state. You do 3 in Dickinson, then do another 3 in the county. So you got niggas in the county that's been down for about 6, 4 or 5. That's like on that shit. That's know they still about to go upstate, fighting their cases, walking around with the big law books, fighting their cases up in that joint. Knowing like, damn, they ain't sent me upstate yet. Like, you might max out here. Like, I'm max out in the county. Like, nah, they'll send you upstate even for your last 6 months or your last year. Once they know the money about to run out. Facts. They'll have to do the paperwork. Wayne County was wicked as hell when it came to saving money. Detroit was like that. Kwame Kilpatrick was arrested for robbing the city for money. Shit, I used to hang with a nigga that dated, we ain't hang with him, but we knew a nigga that dated the mayor's niece. His nigga name was Maserati Rick. Dated Coleman, their young niece. Detroit was wicked. I don't know if it still is. I haven't been there in 25 years. So they was like, yo, this nigga is turned out here, bro. Like, he's turned out here. Like, he still got that spirit. And that's what was so crazy. And you can't. So I'm saying you can't go to prison. But if you do go and you're not homosexual, don't think like I'm a let some gay nigga trick me into thinking he ain't never did it before, and that nigga stick with you for like 4 months before he give up. Like 2 months before he give up trying to tell you like, let's just do it once. Let's just do it once. Like, you gotta beat that nigga ass the first time he say that to you. Or he'll act like your friend, man. Niggas be psychological. Niggas be psychologically trying to get at you. You gotta let them know. But first, you gotta play humble so you can see it. Then you gotta let them know when you do see it. That's the importance of being quiet, not being too distant, but having a balance that you don't have to force. Just being humble enough to be like, all right, I'm gonna be humble so I can see what this nigga up to. But once I see what he up to, I gotta check it. That's how it gotta go. But yeah, man. So. And even in the second jail, I was able to now that's in the last question. So we answered 3 questions. He wasn't able to do homosexuality and not become a homosexual, and he wasn't able to leave without taking that homosexual spirit with him. He did it. He didn't think he would become it. He became it, and the spirit stayed with him. Only way you could break that spirit is to come to Christ, just like any other thing. It's like any other bondage. It's not like God gave up on you. Nah, you can still give that to him, but it takes a lot because you done went so deep into your sinful nature that it takes a lot to crawl out of that hole. It takes a lot of suffering to resist that temptation. You got to believe Jesus. Give me the strength to resist this. Give me the strength to resist this. So we answered that question, but we didn't answer we answered the question, can you find Christ in jail? Yes, because I did. But can you serve him? Yes. That's what I did the second time. I was teaching people how to serve him in here. Sometimes I'll introduce people to the Bible in jail. People will be looking for something to cling to. If I would have went to prison or something, I would have just built a Bible group. I would have built a whole gang of Bible believers, bro. But people, because I had them in there, it'll be like 13 of us at a table. I did that in the first one. I did that in the first one before I left. That's why I'll be teaching them in there, and the guards will be like, oh, he's teaching the Quran, he's teaching the Bible. But in the second time, it was strictly the Bible. And they'll come to me and they'll be like, and I didn't learn this until I got older in these recent years. But I remember they would come to, and I was learning as I was teaching them. I was learning. I remember some guys would be like, all right, man, all right, I believe what you're saying. I can't wait to get out and serve him. I'd be like, bro, you could serve him in here. He's like, I can't wait to get, how you serve him in here? Like, I got to get out and tell people about him, right? I got to get out and live right. Like, you can live right in here. They'll be like, oh, snap. I'd be like, just believe him for the strength to change. You could change your life in here. That's when I was in there, when I stopped masturbating and stuff like that. And I had one guard that'll help me a little, but I know she'll show me herself sometime. I don't know if that was the first time, but I would give in, but I learned how the spirit worked in there. I would learn that when I didn't do it, I would have power. I would be prophesying to niggas in there, like, bro, you got a niece or a daughter. I'm like, pray for her. I would see niggas' kids. I would see niggas' families. Niggas, I'd be prophesying to niggas in jail, submitting to Christ, thinking like, all right, I'm not gonna smoke. I'm not gonna masturbate. I'm not gonna look at any female guards. I'm gonna live holy. I was like that in prison, in jail, like I'm gonna live holy, and I had power. And then I noticed when I gave in and like masturbated or something, I would lose the power. I would lose the peace. I would lose everything. So I learned like, oh, I could serve him. Like I'm serving him in here. I can resist my flesh behind these bars. You can do it. You can come to Christ in there, and you can say, Jesus, give me the strength to resist my flesh. And He was protecting me when I was like that. And when I fall, or I'll be like, these demons coming at me. Like He was protecting me when I was living holy. Facts. I think I'm gonna end it with that. Peace.